Welcome to Nicholas Hood III Ministries, a ministry of hope, spiritual inspiration, personal power guided by Christian love. May the power of God's Holy Spirit fall upon you as you sit back and enjoy today's program. I introduce you now to Pastor Nicholas Hood III.
Welcome to Nick Hood Ministries. Last week, I had wonderful guests who helped me talk about the great work that they're doing in Ethiopia with healthcare. And today we're going to continue. Last week I interviewed Dr. Ingida Asfaw and his wife, Dr. Elizabeth Asfaw. Today I've had Dr. Ingida Asfaw return, and now the daughter, Dr. Zoditu Asfaw. And folks, if you want to know more about Ethiopia and healthcare, cutting-edge healthcare that's happening in Ethiopia today, stick around, because when we come back, you're going to hear something that you're not going to hear anywhere else. We'll be back in just one moment.
This is a new ministry which is just starting. Reverend Hood needs your help in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and His power throughout the world. If you would be so kind as to send a donation to Nicholas Hood III Ministries of any amount, Reverend Hood will send you a free complimentary copy of his book of original personal prayers and beautiful photographs entitled The Test, The Strength, The Endurance, and The Way Out. We appreciate your support, and in this way, you can partner with Reverend Hood in sharing the good news of Jesus throughout the world. Please make your check out to Nicholas Hood III Ministries and mail it to 4535 Chrysler Drive, Detroit, Michigan, 48201.
Again, welcome back. Last week, I talked with Dr. Ingida Asfaw, who's with us today, and his wife, Dr. Elizabeth Asfaw, today about the wonderful work that you're doing with healthcare in Ethiopia. Today, we have the daughter of Dr. Asfaw and his wife, Dr. Zoditu Asfaw. And you are a surgeon as well, right? Dr. Ingida Asfaw is a surgeon. His daughter's Dr. Zoditu Asfaw is also a surgeon. You're in rarefied company. And I think it's just tremendous how you and you have a sister who we're going to hear from a little later, how the two of you are continuing and building on the great legacy that your dad and mom have created. And so, being a gentleman, Dr. Zoditu Asfaw, I want to begin with you. And what does your father's health ministry in Ethiopia mean to you?
Wow. It's inspirational. It's an example for what other people, I think, should strive to in terms of their giving. I was not one of the people, like my dad said last week, who realized in 6th grade that I was going to be a doctor.
Oh, really? When did the bells and lights go off in your mind about medicine?
In college.
In college.
And I'll tell this story really quick, because my dad, I tell people it's two things. One, it's bad genes, because we're both cardiothoracic surgeons. So I say I got his bad genes, and it forced me into it. But he kind of tricked me. I got into U of M with a full ride and to Duke for undergrad. He said he would support me against my mother to go to Duke if I agreed to be pre-med and pre-law, because I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Turns out he was right. I did a biology major, realized that I love science and wanted to go into medicine, and here I am. So that's that story.
So what's been most impactful to you about the medical mission in Ethiopia?
Just seeing how many people that NAHP has been able to help from onset to now, and also seeing how well it's been a family affair for a long time. We obviously have other people helping us out, but at the core, it really is, my dad, my mom, we have been pulled in, obviously willingly, to also help. But it's just seeing how much need there is and how what we have here, the things that we're blessed to have here in hospitals that 10, 15 years ago when we first started going, they did not have. And through my dad's work, he did the first ever heart surgery that was done in Ethiopia, and brought a huge team, and just doing a cardiothoracic surgery where they have nothing, and the amount of equipment that we had to bring and the amount of organization and the impact it had. When we would go back year after year, patients knew he was coming, and they would flock to the hospital wanting to have surgery. It was like walking around with him was like walking around with a celebrity. But it also
he is a celebrity.
But I was just so proud, and I always have been proud. But I was just so proud, like, to see what he done, but also, as I said, to see how NAHP has pivoted. So we started out doing medical missions with all kinds of surgeries, and then we saw the need changed. I think my mom talked about the maternal child health issues, and so we then pivoted to doing that and building a maternal child health hospital. And the other huge thing, and the thing that I think that's like important and shows a lot of like insight, foresight, is that my dad has always been about capacity building, passing on the knowledge, not doing everything constantly, but making sure that the people there are able to take over. And so with the Maternal Child Health Center, it's amazing what they've been able to do, still with help from NAHP, with donations of equipment, et cetera, and so forth. But it's what he wanted was to start this health center, make it be a pilot program, make it grow to be able to help, that millions of people actually. When COVID happened, things had to slow down. They moved on with a group. He helped a group of Michigan physicians get COVID relief to the people in Ethiopia. And now we're starting to we've been working on it, clean water, which is another huge thing. So I think that, just the foresight of continuing to pivot as the needs changed has been very important for the organization. And, I know my dad, I shouldn't say I'm impressed that he could think of this. But I think, I think...
Are you surprised that he could think of this?
Yeah. No. I'm kidding.
Nothing like a daughter's perspective. Okay.
No, I'm not. You know what it is? He has not, on top of doing everything that he does for NAHP, he still had a full-time job as a cardiothoracic surgeon, which until he didn't start slowing down doing that until maybe 3 years ago when I came and started kind of taking things over. And so that is impressive, and they work together too. So my mom has a lot to do with especially the maternal child health, kind of pushing that agenda, which has actually been, I think, one of the hugely successful programs. There's also been HIV/AIDS medication giveaways is what we started with. So it's kind of amazing to just think back of everything that NAHP has done. And I think I was in college, maybe, when it first started. And I'm not going to say how old I am now, but it's been a long time. And
well, you're younger than I am.
that is true. That is true.
Folks, these are members of my church. So, they can poke with me, but it's all good. Well, let me just say this. We're going to take a break, and then when we come back from the break, we have a video clip of your younger sister. Is Sophia younger than you?
Yes.
Dr. Sophia Asfaw. And she is a surgeon as well, correct?
She is.
That is amazing. A family legacy of surgeons.
Mm-hmm.
And after the break, we're going to show this clip from Sophia. Dr. Sophia Asfaw is based now in Cleveland, Ohio. But she too is part of this medical mission, and she's going to share a few thoughts about it. And then when the video with your sister ends, I'm going to ask your brother, Solomon, to come and say a word. Dr. Ingida Asfaw,
Yes.
what can you say behind your wonderful daughter and all the great testimony she's given to you?
Well, all I can say is that, as you always tell us, find your Reverend, help me out.
She's always told you what?
What you
Find-
you said. The one thing I'm
Yeah,
thinking
fi-
is give, and it shall be given to you.
Oh, that's
Good
what we
measure.
say, the words of Jesus
Press down.
before the offering.
Yes, shaken
Judge
together.
not, and
Yeah.
you will not be judged.
Right.
Condemn not, and you will not be condemned.
Yes.
Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back. And you certainly have given. You are giving. And the Lord is blessing you. I mean, I think it's such a wonderful blessing to have daughters and a son. All of your children are doing well. Not every family can say that. So we're going to take a break. And again, Dr. Zoditu Asfaw, thank you for being with me and your dad today. And we're going to, when we come back from this break, we're going to listen to your sister say a few words about what this medical mission means to her. Folks, thanks so much for watching. Stick around, and we'll be right back.
This is a new ministry which is just starting. Reverend Hood needs your help in sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and his power throughout the world. If you would be so kind as to send a donation to Nicholas Hood III Ministries of any amount, Reverend Hood will send you a free complimentary copy of his book of original personal prayers and beautiful photographs entitled The Test, The Strength, The Endurance, and The Way Out. We appreciate your support, and in this way, you can partner with Reverend Hood in sharing the good news of Jesus throughout the world. Please make your check out to Nicholas Hood III Ministries and mail it to 4535 Chrysler Drive, Detroit, Michigan, 48201.
Thanks so much for sticking with us. I've been talking today with Dr. Ingida Asfaw, his daughter, Dr. Sophia Asfaw, who's also a surgeon, thoracic surgeon, just like the dad. That's an amazing legacy. In a little while, we're going to talk with the son of Dr. Asfaw, Solomon Asfaw. But right now, I want to introduce you to another Dr. Asfaw, Dr. Sophia Asfaw from Cleveland, Ohio. And I've asked her to just share a word about her father's medical mission to Ethiopia and what it means to her. Let's listen to Dr. Sophia Asfaw.
I'm the middle daughter of Doctors Ingida and Elizabeth Asfaw, and my name is Sophia Asfaw. I recall growing up, my parents used to talk about Ethiopia a lot and talk about giving back and giving back to the community and recognizing the privilege that we have and always making it a part of our lives to give back to those that were less fortunate. They emphasized to us how very fortunate we were, that we had clothes on our back, that we had food to eat, and even those just a few thousands of miles away in my father's home country of Ethiopia did not necessarily. When we were young, we traveled quite a bit, and we traveled to Ethiopia and had experiences traveling to Kenya and witnessing firsthand what poverty was and witnessing firsthand what privilege was. and the privilege that we were afforded in life. And I remember when my father, friends, my mother, and founders of the NAHP organization were considering starting a NAHP, going to Ethiopia. It was my first time, and I went as a young adult on a fact-finding mission. And what I found was a beautiful country not just from the rich history, the rich architecture, and the rich landscape, but just a beautiful people as well. Very welcoming, very opening, very supporting, and very loving. In this day where we strive for diversity, equity, and inclusion, I think that it's critically important to make sure that we distribute health equity everywhere, globally. And particularly near and dear to our hearts is Ethiopia. There are so many opportunities for improved health equity in Ethiopia, and I'm proud that NAHP and our family has helped to contribute to that. And I think that's the legacy that we will continue to lead. I know that's the legacy that we will continue to lead moving forward. Fast forward decades, I am now a trauma surgeon. I practice trauma, critical care, and emergency general surgery. And I see so much opportunity in Ethiopia to bring this discipline and to bring standardized trauma care, to bring up-to-date trauma care, to bring state-of-the-art trauma care to this country. We know that the leading cause of death in those aged 0 to 44 is trauma, and the life expectancy of those in Ethiopia is not great compared to other countries in the United States. I'm sure trauma and critical injury and critical illness contribute to a decreased life expectancy. And I would hope that with my skill set and the support of the family and my brothers and sisters, we could help to improve equity in this sense and to bring increased health care, trauma care, critical care, knowledge transfer, delivery, capacity building, and skills to a country that is quite deserving and quite in need.
What a testimony. Thank you so much, Dr. Sophia Asfaw. It's so interesting for me to say Dr. Sophia Asfaw, just as Dr. Zuditu Asfaw was here earlier. These are young women that I watched grow up in my church. And they're now, trained medical surgeons, following in the footsteps of their dad, Dr. Ingida Asfaw. But today we have the son, the baby Asfaw, Solomon Asfaw. And I made at least one trip to Ethiopia with you, maybe two. But tell me, what does your father's health mission mean to you? How have you in your life been impacted by what your dad is doing for healthcare worldwide?
So, as you could probably guess from the introduction of Solomon, I'm not a doctor. The only one in the family who's not a physician, but ended up in healthcare in a different way, shape, and form. And that's as a result of my parents, my father in particular. Didn't realize that I would end up in healthcare, but I think it was family destiny given the profession.
So what are you doing in healthcare now?
So I'm the chief financial officer of a provider group called Optum Health, and it's the largest provider group in the entire country, with about 140,000 physicians that we work with. So, the physicians are my boss, which is interesting how the dynamics have shifted around a little bit. But in terms of the legacy that my father has and what it's imparted upon me, every day, every week, think about the work that's been done in Ethiopia, think about the legacy that's been built, and think about what the true meaning of life is and what it means to give and in return get back the measure that you give. I have a 6-year-old son, Elias, who looks at a video of his papa every single week and talks about going to Ethiopia. We have not been yet. but he wants to see and feel and hear everything that's there. It's part of his own personal legacy, part of his DNA, but also the work that's being done there. He wants to see and feel and hear it and be a part of it. So, you know, it's not just the generation of myself and my sisters, but also the generation after us that's very interested in and viewed the legacy that's been created.
Dr. Ingida Asfaw, what do you feel having such successful children? You have a son who is a chief financial officer of one of the biggest provider group of physicians in America. Your two daughters are surgeons who've, you know, in their own way followed in your footsteps. What sense of gratification do you have?
I think God has blessed me, and in seeing my children and my wife helping in the mission, vision, and fulfilling my purpose is a great thing to me. And I hope that this mission will continue with the next generation, with my children, because NAHP is doing great work in alleviating the crisis, healthcare crisis, and the lack of medical access to millions of people. 115 million people in Ethiopia, which is the second largest nation in Africa, was a very, very interesting history. So I see my mission, my vision has been my legacy, leaving both my wife and I to the children. I hope it will continue and help those people in Ethiopia and even go beyond Ethiopia. I have a vision someday, and I will expand into other African countries and even beyond that. That is my hope. That is my prayer. And again, we thank you for your support, for your participation in the mission. And you've been there 4 times.
4 times.
4
Right.
times. And when we needed seed money, the members of the Plymouth Congregational Church came through under your leadership. So I think it's been a long journey, 24 years of service to Ethiopia, and revolutionized the healthcare delivery and access in Ethiopia. So I'm very grateful for that. you know.
Dr. Asfaw, Dr. Ingida Asfaw, I'm very grateful to you and the example that you've provided for all of us in giving back. And so often in life, people just try to, make their own money, to squirrel away their own money, keep their own money. But what you've done is really shared of the best of what God has given to you, which is not just money, but God has blessed you with a mind. God has blessed you with hands and understanding how to not only do great surgeries, but you have the capacity, you've shown the capacity to excite and encourage other healthcare professionals and others to simply want to give back. And so I want to thank you for the example that you are providing for all of us. And for those of you who are watching, if you want to know more about this vital healthcare mission to Ethiopia, you should write it down. Why don't you go get a piece of paper and a pen and write it down, what I'm getting ready to say now. It's NAHP, Ethiopian North American Health Professions Association. Did I get it right?
That's right.
Yes.
And let's say it again. Ethiopian North American Health Professions Association. You can go online. You learn a lot more about this health mission than what we've even said today. And if you feel so moved, you can also write a check to Ethiopian North American Health Professions Association. Now, why am I doing this? The reason why I've invited Dr. Asfaw to be on this program, his son, Solomon, his daughters, Dr. Zoditu, and Dr. Sophia Asfaw, and his wife, Dr. Elizabeth Asfaw, is I think their story is too good to just be buried under a bushel here in Detroit, Michigan. I want people around the world to know what they're doing. And I want people around the world to know what I'm doing, that I would not have them here if I didn't believe in them. And I'm just trying to expose to the audience for this program the best of what I think is happening in America and some of the best in the world. So again, on behalf of myself to Dr. Ingida Asfaw, I want to thank you for being with us these last 2 weeks. To Solomon Asfaw, the son, the bearer of the crucible, so to speak. I thank you for being here. I thank your daughters for being a part of this, and your wife. Folks, we're about out of time, but stick around until next week, and remember, I am praying for you.
Thank you for watching today's program. We hope you've been blessed in a powerful way. Just knowing you took the time to watch today's broadcast is a great encouragement to Pastor Nick Hood. If this broadcast has been a blessing to you, we ask that you mail a tax-free donation to Nicholas Hood Ministries at 4535 Chrysler Drive, Detroit, Michigan, 48201.